A rude customer pulls up in a luxury SUV, takes one look at the black man offering to help, and calls him boy. What he doesn't know? That same man owns the entire gas station, and two more across the city. What happens next is pure karma, and the whole thing was caught on camera. You do not want to miss this story. Move, boy. Don't touch my car unless I say so. Those were the first words the customer shouted the moment he rolled up to the pump. It was a hot afternoon at a busy gas station in Atlanta, Georgia. The sun was blazing, the pavement shimmering with heat waves. Car engines idled, the smell of gasoline hung in the air, and the usual noise of honking hip-hop beats and small talk filled the lot. James was standing by pump 3, holding a fuel nozzle in one hand and a clean microfiber cloth in the other. Dressed in a simple navy polo and khaki jeans, he looked like any regular employee. His sleeves were slightly rolled up, revealing a tattoo of his late mother's name on his forearm. His smile was calm, his posture confident, and his eyes sharp and alert. A shiny black Range Rover pulled in, the type of car that turned heads. Out stepped a man in his late 50s, tall, white, and clearly proud of his vehicle. He had on designer sunglasses, a gold watch, and a look on his face that screamed entitlement. James stepped up and greeted him politely. "Good afternoon, sir. Would you like full service today?" That's when it happened. The man looked James up and down like he was dirt on his shoe. "I didn't ask you for anything. Back off unless I say so. I don't need help from the likes of you." People nearby paused mid-conversation. A mother holding her daughter's hand turned her head. A young man filming TikToks stopped recording. The energy in the air shifted, but James didn't flinch. He simply stood there, still smiling, unfazed. He'd seen this kind of thing before, too many times, in fact. But today was going to be different. James was no ordinary gas station worker. He was the entrepreneur behind 3 gas stations in the Atlanta area, a self-made businessman who had worked his way up from nothing. But to understand why James handled the disrespect so calmly, you have to know his story. James grew up in a tough neighborhood on the south side of the city. His mom worked 2 jobs, cleaning offices by night and waiting tables by day. His dad wasn't in the picture. By the age of 14, James was hustling, not illegally, but hustling in any honest way he could. Washing cars, mowing lawns, selling water bottles on hot days. Anything to bring in a few dollars to help at home. He wasn't handed opportunities, he created them. After high school, James worked the overnight shift at a gas station while taking community college classes during the day. He saved every penny. No vacations, no splurging, just grit and vision. Years later, after watching the store he worked in succeed because of his ideas and energy, he decided to take a leap and buy a small, rundown gas station of his own with help from a local mentor and a microloan. He turned that one failing station into a booming business, then opened 2 more. Each of his stations was known not just for clean service and low prices, but for how he treated his employees, with respect, fairness, and empowerment. James believed in hands-on leadership. He didn't bark orders from behind a desk. Some days he was in the office reviewing reports, but other days, like this one, he was on the ground wearing the same shirt as his staff, helping customers directly. Because in James's world, no job was too small when you're the one building the empire. And that's exactly why the customer who mocked him had no idea who he was really talking to. The customer stepped out of his car, clearly agitated, and waved his hand in James's face. "I didn't ask for help," he snapped. "I don't want anyone scratching my paint job. I've worked hard for this car, unlike some people." James stayed calm. "No problem, sir. I just wanted to check if you needed full service today." "Full service? Yeah, right," the man scoffed. "You just want tips for wiping windows." James could see some of his staff nearby, staring in disbelief. They knew who he was. They were ready to step in, but James motioned for them to stay back. This moment wasn't just about one insult. It was about something bigger. It was about how often people judge others based on race, appearance, and assumptions. And James was about to deliver a lesson this man would never forget. But before that, things got worse. The man leaned against his SUV, talking loudly enough for others to hear. "This is why service is going downhill. You got people out here pretending to work, thinking they deserve respect for standing around." A teenager nearby whispered to his mom, "Isn't that the owner?" She nodded, eyes wide. James, meanwhile, still stood composed. He could have embarrassed the man right there. He could have raised his voice. But that wasn't his way. Instead, he looked the man dead in the eye and asked, "Do you always talk to people this way, or just when they look like me?" The man froze. He didn't expect that. The question hung in the air like thunder before a storm. The crowd around them grew. People at the pumps had stopped what they were doing, some recording, some just watching in silence. James wasn't just defending himself, he was standing up for every person who'd ever been belittled just for existing in the wrong clothes or the wrong skin. And what came next would flip the script entirely. With a calm smile, James looked the man in the eye and said, "Sir, just so you know, I'm not looking for a tip. I'm actually the owner of this station." The man blinked. "What?" "I own this station, and 2 more in the city. I like to come out here sometimes to help out. Keeps me grounded." You could see the color drain from the customer's face. His bravado faded like steam off a hot hood. He stammered, "Well, I didn't mean anything by that. I just thought—" "You thought what?" James interrupted, still calm but firm. "That because I'm black and I'm not wearing a suit, I must be beneath you." The man tried to chuckle awkwardly. "It's a misunderstanding." But James wasn't done. "You judged me the second I walked up. Not based on what I said, not based on what I did, but because of what I looked like. That says more about you than it ever could about me." People around them began clapping quietly. A young woman with her phone out whispered, "He's the boss." "Wow." James continued, "I come out here in regular clothes to remind myself and my team that leadership isn't about power, it's about respect. I don't expect people to bow, but I do expect them to treat others like human beings." The customer opened his mouth, then closed it again. For once, he had nothing to say. Another employee approached and said softly, "Boss, that was powerful." James nodded. Sometimes the real work isn't pumping gas. It's pumping sense into people's hearts. And just like that, the energy shifted again, but this time in James's favor. The customer awkwardly got back in his SUV. He didn't apologize, not really. He just muttered something about being in a rush and drove off, avoiding eye contact with anyone. But the damage was done, and the message had already hit home for everyone who witnessed the moment. One of the employees walked up to James and said, "Boss, you handled that like a king." James smiled and replied, "We don't rise by lowering others. We rise by staying true to who we are." Later that week, security footage from the incident, along with cell phone clips captured by onlookers, began circulating online. James gave permission for the station's official social media to share the full story, not to shame the customer, but to highlight the reality that judgment and prejudice still live right under our noses. The video exploded. Within 48 hours, it had over 2 million views. People from all walks of life flooded the comments. That man has class and power. This is how you shut down hate with dignity. Respect is the real luxury. Local news picked it up. So did national outlets. But James stayed humble. When asked for an interview, he simply said, "I didn't do anything special." I just stayed true to who I am. It wasn't just a viral moment, it was a reminder to the world. Don't judge by appearances, don't assume by status, and never underestimate the quiet strength of a leader in disguise. Because sometimes the one you disrespect is the very one you should have respected most. If this story inspired you or made you think twice about judging others, hit that like button, drop a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more real stories that reveal the truth behind the moment. Respect goes a long way, and so does your support. Thanks for watching.